You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
Friendly reminder to our audience, you can catch our stuff in several places here on YouTube, on DraftKings Network. We are going to close out our hour that is available on Max, a streaming service, with David Samson, who is pointing to his ear right now, who apparently can't hear me, and Adnan Virk. So I'll probably begin with Adnan briefly. We were just talking about the trade deadline. You recently won an Emmy for all your fine work over at MLB Network, Adnan. Congratulations on
Thank you, Mike.
There was a big trade yesterday that we just got the skinny on. Are there any other big names? We talked about a Rosarena. Are there any other big names that even I might know that might be moving destinations here as we lean on your MLB Network Emmy Award-winning expertise?
Thank you for mentioning the Emmy. I appreciate that. Takes a village. July 30th trade deadline. I'll be on air from 1 to 4 Eastern. I think the big names that you would know, Mike, listen, the White Sox are on the verge of breaking the record for the most losses in a single season. They're on pace for 120, which would tie as far as futility is concerned in a single year. So they're going to deal. Garrett Crochet has 150 strikeouts. He's a legit ace. He's going to go somewhere. Luis Robert is obviously a very good slugger. He's hurt too much. He strikes out too much, but he's going to go. And closer to home, Jazz Chisholm, I think, is going to get moved. And a quick thought on Randy Arozarena. That Seattle offense is absolutely putrid. Julio Rodriguez is out right now, but he's been banged up and disappointing much of the season.
He's been bad.
Their entire offense is league average. Arozarena, by the way, has not had a great season. Recently, he's been better, but any sort of addition, it will help that Mariners team, and their pitching is electric. So good move for Seattle to do something to help that moribund offense.
Adnan, you mentioned Garrett Crochet, and David, I'm interested in your take on this story because there was a report yesterday that Crochet will not pitch into the postseason for whoever trades for him if he doesn't get to sign an extension with that team. The report also said that he won't move to the bullpen if the team wants him to move to the bullpen. As someone operating in a front office, like, how do you look at that when you're making that move, and what are your thoughts on that report?
I did not mince words on nothing personal. I went on my board, crossed him off. There is zero.
Wow, that was expert level. You found a way to work in your throat clearing into a sight gag. That was good work right there, David.
Yeah, it's outrageous. I have no idea who this guy thinks he is. Opening day pitcher for the worst team in baseball. Yeah, he's got a bunch of Ks, but his agent and he have decided they have the right plan. And the plan is, and this guy he's pitched 12 innings last year. His plan is, you better pay me and guarantee my money, or I will not pitch for you in October, so you better not trade for me. Guess what? Stay with the White Sox. Good luck. Have fun. There should be 0 teams. As many teams should want to trade for this guy as the number of teams who want to sign Trevor Bauer. 0. A donut.
And to David's point, how refreshing was this yesterday? Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter after 94 pitches in 7 innings. Mike Schultz says to him, nice job. And Cease says to him, David, hey, can I stay in there? And he's like, all right, let's see what we can do. He threw 114 pitches and threw a no-hitter. Years ago, he'd go 94 pitches, 7 innings. Of course he's staying in the game. Now you have
There was a no-hitter yesterday?
Wait, there was a no-hitter yesterday?
Yeah, Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter. We had it live on MLB Network. So the final 3 outs was amazing.
The second no-hitter in Padres history, and they had none for like 40 years.
Correct.
And they've had 2. Joe Musgrove in 21,
Correct.
And now Cease yesterday.
0 for 52 years. But, David, they actually let a guy throw 114 pitches. Oh, my God. What a remarkable event.
There was a no-hitter yesterday?
It's like baseball sent a cease and desist for people talking about this.
Boo.
I did use that line with him, Jessica, when I interviewed him after the game. He gave a little smile.
David, I do want to say on the White Sox before we pivot to movies real quick. The White Sox, not a great stadium situation, and I've seen them kind of do the thing whenever you're trying to get a new stadium, which is leak out the possibility of, hey, this franchise might move. Does this one have a bit more weight in that Chicago randomly has two baseball teams? Now, they've shown historically that they can support them, but that thought is dwindling, especially since the Cubs really took over that town with their World Series win. Is there actually juice to the possibility of the Chicago White Sox no longer being the Chicago White Sox?
Yeah, the juice comes from death. So here's the Jerry Reinsdorf plan. He said that when I croak, my son's going to keep the Bulls, but we're selling the White Sox, meaning the estate. And if there's no new stadium, the buyer may buy the team to move it. So if you want to make sure the White Sox stay, give me $2 billion before I die. That's been his approach. So far, it hasn't quite worked, but we'll see.
How does Major League Baseball feel about the possibility of the second franchise in the second city possibly moving? Do you think that they would push back on that?
There is zero chance of the White Sox moving. Jerry Reinsdorf met with the Nashville mayor. It was just for fun. It got a lot of attention. There's so many Chicago teams. The Bears, the White Sox are looking for public money. The Bulls and the Blackhawks are doing a huge deal that they announced was a $7 billion private redevelopment around the United Center. But of course, they need public money as well. So there will be decisions that are going to be made, but the White Sox will get their stadium because what is it now? Guaranteed rate field? No, I don't even know what it's called. Is that it now, Adnan?
I think it's guaranteed rate field. Yeah,
it is.
It's terrible. We hated playing there. We had to go there.
You had to go there for a hurricane, and it totally nuked your wild card chances.
It was unreal. We had to stay like an hour away. There were no hotels, and it wasn't a real team hotel. They didn't have the right room service, so the union and us, we had to make a deal where we had food brought into this horrible hotel to act like room service. And then we lost the games, and we didn't make the playoffs. It sucked.
I'm curious to know, I don't know if you covered this on Nothing Personal, but a French football team of repute had to shutter Bordeaux. This was a team that when I first got into soccer, they were flirting with Europe. They had produced pretty good players. And in the French league, they had to shutter their doors. A big club in France is now no more. And it's because of the promotion relegation system over there. If you can't count on European dollars coming in, it's going to be a lot harder to keep up all the expenses of that franchise. What do you make of a French football team that is pretty known and famous having to close? And will we ever see that day here in the United States?
I will never forget the show that you and I and Whittingham did about, I don't remember when that was. It may have been a COVID show. We talked about the possibility of relegation and promotion in U.S. sports. And we all agreed unanimously, you can't do it because the cost of these franchises assumes certain guaranteed revenue streams. And you can't have those revenue streams just disappear because you stink for a couple of years or 1 year with relegation. And so it would not sustain itself. You wouldn't get the votes for it in any of the leagues. I'm shocked that that happened. But to me, that could be the beginning of the end of relegation over there because these asset valuations keep going up. I think relegation has to disappear.
That's kind of a bummer because many people like the consequences that come with that. But unfortunately for fans of that club, one of the consequences is your club is no more. That club is in France. So are the Olympics. And we have, I guess, an Olympic tie to our top fives. Per the tradition, we will begin with David Samson and leave Adnan Virk about 40 seconds. Did I get that one right?
Nailed it, Mike.
Alpha Brain. It's working, baby. It's working,
baby.
Through.
Way to go, Mike.
All right.
Top 5 movies to celebrate opening ceremonies, which start in just a few hours today, July 26th. Top 5 Olympic movies of all time. Number 5.
It's Olympic
Miracle.
movies. So it's Olympic movies and not movies about France because I was going to get really upset to forget Paris wasn't in this.
No, Billy Crystal. Nice.
It's a great movie, but no, it is not movies about France because I would then do Something's Got to Give. But no, it's not that.
All right, so Miracle is the first one. Sorry to cut you off there.
Number 4, Prefontaine.
What's What's that?
No, that is worthy. That's Prefontaine. That's Jared Leto. That's a guy. That's sad. There's 2 movies about it. Watch the one that's called Prefontaine with Jared Leto. Ed O'Neill, you're going to be happy.
Jared Leto, but okay.
Leto, excuse me. Thank you, Ed.
What does it have to do
Number
with the
3.
Olympics?
What is it? Wait. I don't know about this movie. What does it have to do with the Olympics?
He's a runner.
He's a runner in the Munich Olympics.
Okay, cool.
Well said.
There was
You've never heard of Prefontaine?
No.
He's a cross-country runner, right, Steve?
Billy
Prefontaine.
Wow.
Billy's in on it, yeah. Totally.
Number 3 is a current movie, The Boys in the Boat.
Oh.
It's a fantastic book. It's a fantastic movie. George Clooney directed it. It is about crew. It's about rowing. It's about Hitler, Berlin. You may want to watch it.
No, the first part, David, you were right. It's a fantastic book. It's not a fantastic movie. It was absolutely pedestrian and workmanlike, and further proves that Clooney, as great a star as he is a very average director. And there was a great critic who pointed out there's never been a movie that's featured more clapping in a movie ever. The extras must have been exhausted by the end of it. A lot of clapping for a very average movie, mediocre film. I'm shocked you put it at number 3. It's a great story. It's not a great movie.
Good night and good luck.
That's a great movie.
Number 2, Icarus. If you're looking for a documentary about the Olympics and you want to learn about doping and find out how much cheating the Russians did, it will blow your mind. Icarus. Watch it if you haven't.
One of the greatest
Great doc on
documentaries.
Netflix.
Yeah, one of the greatest documentaries maybe ever. All right, David, keep it going.
And the number 1 movie is called Munich. You can imagine what that's about. Some bad things may have happened. There's a whole bunch of movies about this. The best one is, for me, Munich. And but if you're looking for one of these 5, I should have done it opposite, actually. Watch Icarus if that's the only time you have.
All right, that's David Samson. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out to do your top 5 list. We really
Wait, Mike, I got to fly through my 5 right now. Come on, we got 40 seconds here. Number 5, Chariots of Fire. Great
Better
score
song than movie.
Good, fair point. Vangelis, great score. Probably shouldn't have won Best Picture against Reds or Raiders of the Lost Ark, but 1924 Olympics, passionate story, etc. Number 4, Foxcatcher. I mean,
Great
Jean
movie.
DuPont, right? Steve Carell, Mike, disturbing movie.
Dude, Steve Carell with one of the all-time disturbing performances and truly a heartbreaking, actual true story. Tragic.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Channing Tatum, Mark Ruffalo, Oscar nominee was great. Number 3, underrated film, Downhill Racer. Robert Redford did all of his own skiing. Of course, you know how much he loves Utah, but he did all his own skiing, plays an aloof Olympic skier. It's the best movie about skiing you'll ever see. Michael Ritchie directed it. Great POV shots. You should look it up.
It's not even as good as Eddie the Eagle, Downhill Racer.
I'm surprised that didn't make the top 5 for you. Number 2, Cody's going to love it. Cool Runnings.
Let's go.
Yeah, I was hoping.
Jamaican bobsled team, the late, great John Candy playing the coach. Unbelievable movie, underrated. And number 1, I, Tonya. Are you kidding? Margot Robbie was sensational. Allison Janney won an Academy Award. Funny movie, dark, disturbing. I, Tonya was fantastic.
No D2. What are you guys doing?
Chris.
Hit King.
That's not actually an Olympic movie.
Pimlico.
It's not an Olympic movie. It's a Junior Goodwill Games.
Right.
That's the Olympics.
Famously. That's not the Olympics.
That is not the Olympics.
It's not the
They
Olympics.
play Iceland.
That is not a real sport.
Let's go shake their hands.
Thank you, David. Catch his stuff with Nothing Personal. And thank you, Adnan, Emmy Award winner.
Awesome.
Hey, it's Mike Ryan. How do you like to grill your barbecue? Tell me. I'll be quiet. I'll stand back. I'll listen for approximately 2.5 seconds. Wow. A lot of great suggestions in there. Let me give you a suggestion. I need everybody in the audience to pair their barbecue with Miller Lite. I've been doing a lot of travel lately, and I really reveled in the fact that I got to stay home with my family. It was hot out. It was a perfect day for the pool. And what goes good with that? Miller time, of course. You know that's what I was getting at. I don't like debates. And that's why I go with Miller Lite, because it's got undebatable quality. It tastes as great as your barbecue. It's a beer that strips everything away that you don't need and holds on to what matters most. It's the light beer with the most taste, less filling, at only 96 calories. That is perfect for when you're eating some barbecue outside with your family. With a Miller Lite in your hand, grilling doesn't just taste great. It tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories per 12 ounces.
Dan Le Batard.
We didn't get to your guys' against the spread.
You're right. Yeah.
I don't have it against the spread because I wasn't prepared for this segment.
You need an Ian in your life.
You have actively played defense against me today in a way that has rarely been this undercutting.
Stugotz.
Defense wins championships, baby. That's show business.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Tony, I'm seeing the promos for it in our YouTube live breaks. You got an MMA Hangout at a place that I haven't had the pleasure of going to, but I've heard really great things. What can you tell me about it?
UFC 304, MMA Hangout is going to Casa Tiki on Calle 8. Friends of the show, they love the show. We're going to go over there and hang out. I have also not been there. I've seen pictures. I know people that have been there.
I like a good tiki bar, man.
Me too. Whatever happened to the tiki bar?
Well, Casa Tiki has brought it back.
Saying.
It's a great aesthetic.
Yeah.
There's a really good one in Broward, too. I'd been to that one. I've been to, because I had,
Did the tiki bar leave us? It was just
in
not
Miami, we've never really had a good tiki bar.
Never really. In Broward, there was one, and I go there for the occasional live local rock band, but
just at Monty's, but Monty's isn't a tiki bar.
No, that's not a tiki bar.
That's just a
tiki bar leans in.
Right. Like we need tiki things.
Yeah. Preferably if you have tiki in the name. That's great.
Casa Tiki.
Yeah.
This Saturday, UFC 304, 10 p.m. start. I feel bad because in Great Britain, where they're actually having the card, they're doing it to accommodate us here in the United States. So it's a 10 p.m. start here, 3 a.m. start main card in London. Yeah.
They typically don't do that for London, for like marquee European cities whenever they do these cards. Like sometimes they'll do that in like Dubai.
Why can't they just start it at 7 p.m. here?
I don't know.
No, that's stupid.
I don't know.
Why?
That's stupid. Because
Why does
combat
it have
sports
to be so late?
Combat sports are notoriously late.
It's a late night. It's a late night
because I think historically, because the mecca of combat sports is Las Vegas. So,
but this one's not in Las Vegas.
I know, but
Why?
I think like prime time Vegas time is when they do all combat sports. I don't know the logic. I'm theorizing, but I think that's what it is.
Remember,
it's like
there's
Las Vegas
prelims
is the center of the combat sports universe.
There's prelims too, and then there's early prelims. So if you want to have the main card start at 7 o'clock, then you have to have...
Is Edwards on this card?
Yeah, it's Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad, obviously hometown boy.
We should make it a morning sport. Everything starts at like 6 a.m., main card by noon.
Well, there have been the occasional like morning cards.
Those are done over like Fight Island, like in Abu Dhabi.
Such a bad vibe. Combat sports need to be like you go to a blast area, you go to Casa Tiki, you get 1 or 2 drinks in you, and then you're like, I don't know anything about this. Punch each other in the face.
Exactly right.
That's what's great about it. Now, Edwards is a curious case because he was a bit of a journeyman. He didn't have this superlative win-loss record, and then he kind of figured something out. And he had a huge upset, and I thought, okay, we've seen this story before. A guy like the Rocky underdog story becomes champ, and then they immediately
Nickname
lose.
is Rocky.
And they immediately lose. And that's not the case. Edwards has gotten himself. He's only gotten better since the Usman fight. He's now in the conversation for pound.
Like, the funny thing about Edwards is, like you said, Mike, he was a journeyman. The UFC didn't really want to give him the time of day to give him those championship fights. They thought he was kind of boring. They thought he really didn't have a story around him. It's kind of like the pro wrestling aspect of, like, you have to have some
danger
sort
of getting
buzz.
cut.
Yes, right. You have to have, it's the Colby Covington theory, right? Nobody would care about Colby if he didn't lean so hard into the MAGA thing. He would just be a pedestrian wrestler guy.
His fight style is particularly boring.
Exactly. He'd be a pedestrian wrestler and be like, okay, this guy will be out of the UFC in 3 years. But the moment that, again, revisionist history, but when we look back, Leon Edwards was losing that fight to Kamaru Usman every round.
Yeah.
Like, it was over for Leon.
I know. I was on Usman.
I know. And then that left kick, headshot, bang, it was over. And Leon, from that moment, has been an incredible fighter. Again, he's only defended the title twice. But looking back, that's when the line of demarcation for Leon Edwards was right there at that moment in Salt Lake City when that left kick came out, ended Usman. Now he's almost celebrated by the UFC.
Yeah. He's a complete fighter. He's great to watch now all of a sudden. And improbably, you never really see guys like that make their way into pound-for-pound discussion. And he's there.
And the funny thing is, he's fighting a guy in Bilal Muhammad who is a good fighter in his own right, but again is having the same treatment that Leon Rocky Edwards got because nobody wants to see Bilal Muhammad win the welterweight title.
Actually, you know what? I have a chance to make this card because I was like, I have a thing. And the thing is Leagues Cup, but by the time that thing ends, I can make the drive down and be there in time for the Edwards fight.
We'd love to have you.
I'm gonna try my best to make it to Casa Tiki for this MMA hangout. What else is on the card?
Tommy Aspinall, heavyweight champ of the world right now, interim basis. Obviously, we know John Jones is the heavyweight title holder, but he's the interim heavyweight title holder, fighting against Curtis Blades, a good knockout artist. I think Tommy Aspinall is going to wipe the floor with him. And we have Patty the Batty versus Bobby King Green, who now goes by King Green.
In great shape, Patty.
Nobody fluctuates in weight quite like Patty Pimblett. You see him just on a regular day.
Dan.
He's looking like I'm up there too, pal.
No, but not. I don't see
Especially
you with the
when I'm off the
six-pack after.
Lexapro.
I don't see you off the six-pack.
Oh, you should have seen my my COVID body.
Six-pack?
Well, no, like 2019 was a good year.
I remember. You look good.
Anxiety. Bad for your health. Good for the
your
abs.
So it's a good card up and down. It's going to be fun. I don't know what the atmosphere is going to feel like when the card starts at 3 o'clock in the morning in Great Britain, but the vibes are going to be good. Casa Tiki is going to be going up, and we'd love to see you there.
All right, well, I'm going to do my best. I got a loaded Saturday. I got a nephew's birthday. I got a Deadpool screening. I got Leagues Cup, which I'm super excited about. I'm not going to try to get buy-in anywhere here. Yeah, Billy, you'd be happy to know that Messi was announced on the team sheet, which opens up the possibility for him to return during this competition. I guess it would have to be a pretty deep run. They opened things up against Puebla, a team that was a little feisty in last year's Leagues Cup competition. For me, as someone that follows MLS and Liga MX, to have one World Cup-style tournament that basically has both leagues facing off. Sometimes you have MLS versus MLS, and sometimes you have Liga MX versus Liga MX. But last year was a bit unfair with some of the host cities. I think they've kind of fixed that a little bit, and I'm excited to watch this. Are you excited about the specter of Messi possibly returning?
We'll see, yeah, hopefully.
Cup?
I mean, I'm glad he's finally taking things seriously. Potential for return here. We'll see what happens.
I got to defend their league. Inter Miami is the only Leagues Cup champion there's ever been.
How can he be like close to coming back when the last time we saw him, his ankle was the width of his head?
Yeah, he was. He's in walking boot, I think, still, but it's a high ankle sprain. In the NFL, that's usually 6 weeks. This is like a month-long competition. The timeline works out that he might be available, provided that they make it to a final. Now, he has to be on the provided roster for him to make an appearance there, and you have to cap that, and you have to make some decisions. So they thought just the chance of him possibly making the appearance was more important than just putting another player's name out there. I'm excited for this competition. I'll be going to that. I'm also watching Deadpool versus Wolverine. It's Deadpool and Wolverine versus that title got shelved. I know Mike Fuentes saw it, and I could see him like biting his lip. He wanted to give me spoilers. I hear that spoilers are a very big deal with this, but I'm excited about that. Back-to-back weeks, I'm going to big-time box office movies. So between all that, we got the Olympics
Mike,
going
how was
on.
Twister? I haven't talked about Twister. You saw Twisters?
Yeah, I saw it at 4DX. It was awesome. Fuentes also picked up like these. Chris, can you give me some of the magnets? It's behind the desktop computer. So like Glenn Powell drives this badass truck
Do they have
in
a
it.
popcorn box for it?
And it's nothing that you can have sex with anyways. But you can have sex with the Wolverine popcorn bucket that was designed for this movie. Fuentes got me a car magnet for my Jeep.
Looks like the Bulls logo, cease and desist.
It's it's like a Texan.
Like the Rock logo.
It's a longhorn with a twister in the middle.
I love that.
So Twisters was
Fun?
great, and 40X is like a thing. People are like, you got to see it in 40X. That's how I saw it. It was a really enjoyable experience that way. But I'm
We
worried.
still call it 40 Twitter back here, okay?
Where did he get that from?
He got this. It was like a promo display. So I guess they didn't spend their money on popcorn buckets, Billy. They decided to spend their money on car magnets, so
But
you
does
could
he
look like
know
Glenn Powell's
someone?
car. He went to the Deadpool movie yesterday, and at the movie theater they just had a table where these were sprawled out, and he knew that I like Twister, so he very.
You can put it on your car?
My wife got excited about it. You know, this is it's a cool little logo. I was a big Twisters guy. I liked it, but I think that the.
Do I need to see the first Twister?
No, and it's a shame. It's a real shame because there was ample opportunity for callbacks to the first one, and there was like the occasional Easter egg, like Dorothy, the vessel in which they put up like all these little flying things for the data. Yeah. There was like, if you remember in the original movie, it was Dorothy 1 through 4. You see Dorothy 5 and all these other Dorothys, but not a lot of callbacks. It's also a little tougher since Bill Paxton has moved on.
Any May references?
No, dude, I thought, all right, certainly someone here is related to Helen Hunt.
Any references to when Roy referenced it that one time?
They didn't do, you haven't seen it, miss this house, and miss that house, and come straight after you. What I liked about this film in particular is we're starting to see climate change climb into disaster movies. And, this is a generational season for Twisters, and climate change is to blame for it, but they actually decide to fight climate change by actively fighting the climate. See, and that's kind of where I'm at with the stuff.
To try to nuke the tornado?
Essentially. And it's a real cool way that they do it.
Doesn't bode well for the election.
You can't put the toothpaste back into the tube. You can try to mitigate global warming, but it's a very difficult thing to police, because usually the response whenever I tell someone that doesn't care that much about climate change is like, you have to do something. And they're like, what do you do about India? What do you do about China? And I'm like, I don't know, man. And then the debate ends. But so after being tired of that, I'm like, okay, this thing's coming. Tides are going to rise. Storms are going to get worse. What do we do to fight these things? Everyone's talking about preventative measures. We need to pivot to solutions and winning the war against the climate at this point. Because if it's ramping up its aggression, we need to fight it. So that's what you fight climate change by actively fighting the climate.
Well, the good thing is we've already won the war against the whales. I'm going to say that now. We won.
I mean, you lose a war to a 19-year-old boy in a boat. Like, that's not a good sign. So get this. This is not a spoiler, because the movie kind of opens with this. Their whole theory on how to weaken a tornado is by taking the material that's inside of a diaper and just
poop?
No, not poop. The absorbent materials.
The fluffy stuff?
The absorbent materials that are inside of a diaper.
Like a maxi pad.
Kind of, yes. Yeah. But I guess diapers were conjured up somehow a nicer image than a maxi pad. And all that material they would just put in the track of the tornado. Tornado would suck up this stuff that historically dries stuff out, and then it would weaken the storm. They fight the climate. They fight climate change.
We were riffing on maxi pads back here. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sure that was one of the solutions, and they're like, we can't do maxi pads. That's too gross. Baby diapers, it's fine, because sometimes there's pee-pee in it. Yeah. But I don't think...
I can't repeat what I said earlier.
I don't think...
Go on.
Smegmatana. We're all workshopping here. I think week 2, I regret that. I'm sorry.
I regret that you said that too. Cut that.
We're live, baby.
Dan Batard.
You were that kind of sad this morning, taking the barrage of anger from Stugotz because you hadn't booked him enough interviews. The only reason I keep bringing this up is because you are throwing a big party on Thursday. You're doing it, and I want people to support what you're doing because Stugotz has not made this easy.
Stugotz. This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I think week 2 in the box office is going to be a rough one for Twisters, though, because Deadpool Wolverine is out, and everybody that has grown frustrated or even still has hope for Marvel is kind of hoping that this thing does well. Is anyone else going to see this movie? You're going?
Excited. I'm very excited. Although I never saw the first one, I've just heard good things about Glenn Powell, and generally not a lot of things to do in Miami in July. It is brutal out there. Sitting in a movie theater may be the only option.
Well, pretty soon we're going to have to be boarding up and stocking foods. Have you seen these Costco Doomsday? Boom! Have you seen the...
Scared Willow.
Have you seen the Costco Doomsday things? They're selling like these Doomsday packs at Costco.
Doomsday?
For like, for like $80.
Thank you for your restraint.
You're not familiar with this? They have like these Armageddon packs at Costco that you can buy for $80, which is like this big bin of non-perishable food that will last like 25 years. They're selling pretty well, as you can expect in an election year, especially in this country.
One thing you can do in July is go to the MMA Hangout at Casa Tica presented by Cuervo.
We didn't promote it enough?
By Cuervo.
Apparently not.
So yes, we did not promote it enough.
Is diaper lining a thing we can throw at the hurricanes, too?
Whoa, wait. That's
I think we gave that too much reaction.
Oh.
I meant the Miami Hurricanes, of course.
All you
hey.
need to do is like have clock management be there. And now we've thrown a 2-minute warning into the mix, so it's only going to be more confusing.
No.
And playing,
God, no.
It's one of look, it's fair game, even though that was not a fumble. I'll just say that. I got that defensive stuff out of the way. It wasn't a fumble. But even when you play the CFB game and a player kneels, they talk about, well, I hope Miami's taking note. No, did you tell that to Miami Georgia Tech? I'm like, guys,
they
like
built
I can't.
In Miami negs into the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I need to get this game.
I'm telling you, it's the best sports game ever made. When you consider the expectations, the hopes of what it had to live up to, and the fact that it's a very tricky sport to try to make a game around, it's the best sports game of all time. Tony, is that a hot take?
No, it's incredible. The gameplay, even when you run, you feel the gallop on the controller of them running. Like, it's just an incredible thing. The dynasty mode, the transfer portal, the way you recruit kids, like all of that stuff is amazing.
Oh, God, no.
When you have your baby, can I borrow your game system?
I'm going to be playing more.
You are. You are. Jeremy, you tried to.
Impossible to play more when you have a baby. I keep telling you. I'm trying to give you realistic expectations.
Now's your time, man.
It's not.
It's not. I know.
It's not.
It's the haters that want me to not play anymore. That's what it is.
The haters want you to be a good parent. That's absurd.
You're going to be a better parent because of gaming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had the struggle of I went and set up my home office because we recently moved, and I was setting up my home office, and I went and got my system out of the boxes that we had everything in, and set up the TV, and was all excited. Finally, put frames on the wall, everything. I'm ready to go sit and play the game.
Frames on the wall.
I update the system. It took hours to update
because you hadn't turned it on.
Because I hadn't turned it on in a while, and I was so excited to go play College Football 25, and then realized that my Xbox One was not compatible with the game.
Oh, no.
And I did not know that before the moment that I went to go purchase it. And now I'm left with the decision of, do I spend $500 on the PS5?
Gotta do some research.
I know.
On
well,
that one.
honestly, if it's even worse, is that I just kind of didn't realize what specific Xbox system I had. And so when I went to turn it on, I was like, oh, surely this will work. And I went to the online store, and I see it there, and I scroll over to buy, and then there's just in little tiny red font, not compatible with the system. It was, I was saying it honestly, this year, in terms of devastating moments, it's like Jimmy Butler's ankle turn number 1, that number 2.
Yeah, you got to get a PS5 because I made the move from Xbox One to PS5.
As did I.
Yeah, it's just a superior console.
It's just about whether or not that investment.
It's worth it.
It is 1,000% worth it.
It's worth it. This game
money.
Buy the
When's like the
Hurricane
PS6
shutters,
coming
Yeah,
out?
that's what I'm saying. Hurricane shutters.
Probably in like 2 years, but now
Change.
I was away from gaming for so long, and I had to figure out so many things that made me feel old about the PS5 that I was literally troubleshooting for like 2 years for this moment, but it was all worth it. Tony, you'd be happy to know that you're a canon athletic director in my dynasty.
Wow, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, Peter Ariza's Liberty has you as its athletic director. Yeah. Anytime I see,
I got rid of Hugh Freeze.
Yeah. You brought in the Reverend Jefferson Montgomery, who made it to a national title game and then got blown out by Jeremiah Smith, who's a cheat code.
Oh, come on.
Or the head coach.
No, he's a canon athletic director.
Yeah.
Reverend Jefferson Montgomery is the head coach over at Liberty. He's
so you replaced Ken Starr, I believe.
Yeah. Look, it's
on the up
Liberty.
and up, baby.
Everything there is pretty on brand. So much so that the Reverend got pulled over for a DUI off a Lime scooter outside of Buffalo Wild Wings. It Bills and Molly that weren't his.
I looked the other way, by the way.
He beat the case. He beat the case.
What do you think he did?
Yeah, but I had, as I mentioned, a great night last night in finally doing off-season mode, which is I was looking more towards off-season mode than actually playing the game, because some of my fondest memories was just getting on the headset, eating shit with my boys, and just doing the off-season recruiting cycle. And we had the transfer portal this year. Everything about it was great. Love the offseason, love the shit talk, love all the banter, love that we got 9 dudes all on the same calendar and got to do that. And I loved my routine. I cracked open a Miller Lite, and I sucked on a nicotine pouch, and I was loving life. Now, nicotine, as you know, highly addictive. Part of cigarettes, it's ruined so many things here. So if you're at all triggered about the nicotine and tobacco industry, I would say fast forward, because I'm going to say things about it that aren't going to paint it in the way that it's usually been painted. Ready? Have you fast forwarded yet? It's going to be a minute. I want to talk about a great American underdog story. Philip Morris. Well, welcome back to the conversation. You know, a lot of people have said bad things about you, and a lot of them are very true. But Philip Morris is building its first new factory since 1973. As you know, in this country, since the 90s, cigarette smoking, then we talked about smoking sections, it's all gone away because, rightfully, bad for you, terrible for you. Cigarettes, bad. It says it on the label. You could die if you smoke cigarettes. So, Philip Morris has found a way to bounce back. Why are they building their first new factory since 1973? Zyns. Now, Chris Cody, you look like a textbook Zyn brother, but you told me you're not familiar at all with Zyns.
It's one of these things that I've been embarrassed for a while now because like you said, I'm around this world. I'm around people that have Zyns, and I'm like, and in my mind, without ever asking or doing research, I've just assumed it's the evolution of dipping, like tobacco.
You'd say you're Zyn adjacent.
Right.
You get it.
But apparently I'm wrong. It's just straight nicotine.
It's a little like...
Do you still spit with it? Like if I put a little Zyn pouch in my lip.
No spit.
Okay. So
no
it's
spit.
like a
Which is, I want to be very careful with my language because nicotine is highly addictive.
It's bad.
Nicotine,
it is addictive.
It's addictive. So why do I choose to Zyn when I'm playing college football 25? There's a little bit of a buzz aspect to it. The good old 2 beer buzz. Like that's if you do one and you hadn't done it in a while, you'll get that 2 beer buzz. But it's also like a little jolt of caffeine. So I like it. I can understand why people don't like it. I'm a softie. I just do the 3s. I've learned the hard way, folks. So Zyn for dummies. If someone tries to hand you a 6 for your first time, don't do it.
Do not take it.
Do not come. Don't do it.
I won't do that.
Don't. You training wheels with the 3s.
You got to build up to that.
If you do a 6 or a 9, or as I've learned, there are much greater things. So in Chicago, one of my friends doesn't do Zyns. He does like the Swedish version of it because they're more potent. And I was informed that
Zyns.
They're fun to say. Swedens. So Sweden has apparently come close to eliminating cigarette smoking because of how potent their nicotine pouches are. And if you've ever had a Swedish form of Zyn, you know exactly what I'm talking about. My friend handed me a 10, and I was at the Palmer House in Chicago, and I was drenched in sweat inside of 5 minutes. I had the Zyn spins. It was a real bad situation. But there are some animals out there. And Roy, there is a Zyn culture in hockey. The hockey players are insane. The stories that I've heard are just truly bewildering. So I was at a golf tournament recently. There was a hockey player that had a hockey player as a caddy. This hockey player caddy had a tin of 45s. 45s.
How do you even make them that strong? Who is that for?
There's ones that are super strong. So like, this is all secondhand information. This was all relayed to me by Mike Golick Jr., who had heard this story from this caddy who had 45s on him. And he's like, oh, yeah, in hockey, it's a big thing. He said, I know several players that put pouches in between their toes for games.
Get the pores,
They absorb the nicotine through their pores between their toes.
What if I just held it in my hand for like an hour?
If your hands get sweaty, like it would get into your bloodstream. Yeah.
That'd be fun. I'll try that. Let me do some Zyns through my hand. Anyone got it?
Why would you?
I'll do it right now. I'll try Zyns right now through my hand only, though.
No, can you try it between your toes? Let's put a couple of pouches.
I'll put it anywhere.
Hey.
A couple pouches. I could not believe that. These guys have essentially like 50 Zyns like running through their veins through the course of a hockey game.
That could kill a horse.
It can't kill this hockey. It can't kill a hockey player.
Mike, you took a 10. Imagine 4 times that.
I took a 10. I was sweaty. I was spinning everywhere. I had, I felt good. I should have spit it out, for like the 40 seconds that I was feeling good, because that's always an option. Occasionally, now that you know what they kind of look like, you'll see a fallen soldier here and there on the side of the street. R.I.P. But, dude, the Zyn spins are a very real thing, and you don't have to be a super, tough guy about it. If it's giving you the spin, spit it out, because it's going to take a minute for recovery. But, yeah, that's I only Zyn while CFBing and when I'm out with a big group of friends. Or if I'm at a WrestleMania, which is the first time I did it.
It makes a lot of sense for hockey players, especially during playoff time.
It gives you a little
you a
caffeine
buzz.
jolt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for the overtime games.
So this is not a personal endorsement. I laid out my facts. You can do what you want, but apparently the margins for these zyns are great, and it's bringing convenience stores back, because if you go to a convenience store, you may or may not see
stacked.
zyns. Well,
There's
down
a great
here,
shortage though.
Yeah,
flavors.
down here it's not so much of an issue, but they have to build this new factory to meet the demands. But they apparently make $1.50 off of each tin of Zyn, which is incredible, because they make $1 only off of a box of cigarettes, and there's so much that goes into making a cigarette. There's harvesting the tobacco. It's
filters.
all that. Zyns, it's like a little nicotine salt, a little flavor that they put in like chewing gum, and boom. So they went from selling 5 million tins.
Boom!
5 million tins a few years ago to what's happened, which has been this astronomical jump. They sell 550 million tins today.
Jeremy, clean this up for us.
Some of the negative health effects of the nicotine pouches include gastrointestinal symptoms like nausea, gum soreness, and ulcers, and also some cardiovascular risks like elevated heart rate.
Only if you're soft.
Oh, God. What are we doing?
Oh, God.
We're living a life of Zen, brother. Hey, it's Mike Ryan. How do you like to grill your barbecue? Tell me. I'll be quiet. I'll stand back. I'll listen for approximately 2.5 seconds. Wow. A lot of great suggestions in there. Let me give you a suggestion. I need everybody in the audience to pair their barbecue with Miller Lite. I've been doing a lot of travel lately, and I really reveled in the fact that I got to stay home with my family. It was hot out. It was a perfect day for the pool. And what goes good with that? Miller time, of course. You know that's what I was getting at. I don't like debates. And that's why I go with Miller Lite, because it's got undebatable quality. It tastes as great as your barbecue. It's a beer that strips everything away that you don't need and holds on to what matters most. It's the light beer with the most taste, less filling, at only 96 calories. That is perfect for when you're eating some barbecue outside with your family. With a Miller Lite in your hand, grilling doesn't just taste great. It tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories per 12 ounces.